Hello Year 12s and welcome to the last of 4 videos on key concepts in the Victorian criminal justice system. Outcome 1 of Unit 3 focuses on the Victorian criminal justice system, and the purpose of these 4 videos is to familiarise you with some of the key concepts that relate to that system. In this video, we draw together all of the key concepts that we've looked at in the previous 3 videos. The purpose of this is so that you're able to use that information to explain why a case is a criminal case. One of the common mistakes the students make in SACs and exams is that they mix up criminal law language and civil law language. It is really important that you don't make this mistake, and that's one of the reasons for taking you through this video.
Here is our learning intention. This learning intention requires you to be able to explain why a case is a criminal case. Please write this learning intention down in your Cornell notes.
This diagram illustrates the language and concepts that are used to describe a criminal case. In a criminal case, there are 2 parties. The first party is the Crown or the State, sometimes known as the prosecution. The second party is the accused, that is, the person who has been charged with the criminal offence. Note that the victim is not a party to a criminal case. The victim may well give evidence, that is, may be a witness in the criminal case, but the victim is not a party to the criminal case. So, in a criminal case, the Crown or the State, that is the prosecution, prosecutes the accused for a criminal offence. In the second video, we looked at a range of criminal offences. We looked at crimes against the person such as assault and murder, crimes against property such as theft and robbery, crimes against morality such as incest, crimes against the legal system such as perjury, and crimes against the state such as treason. It is the prosecution which is responsible for proving that the accused committed the offence. That is, it is the prosecution that has the burden or the onus of proof in a criminal case. The standard of proof in a criminal case is beyond reasonable doubt. The standard of proof is the strength of evidence needed to prove a case. In a criminal case, this standard of proof is beyond reasonable doubt, which means that the only reasonable explanation for what happened must be that the accused committed the crime. If the prosecution cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt that the accused committed the crime, then the accused must be found not guilty and is acquitted. If the prosecution proves beyond reasonable doubt that the accused committed the crime, then the accused must be found guilty and is convicted. Again, note the language that is being used. Not guilty, acquitted. Guilty, convicted. An accused who is convicted of an offence will be sentenced to a punishment. In the case of criminal cases, punishments include things such as imprisonment, fines, and community correction orders.
This slide simply states in words what is illustrated on the previous slide. So I'll leave you to read this slide through on your own. But note the words that are in bold. These are words that indicate that a case is a criminal case. Using the language and concepts referred to in the previous 2 slides, see if you can explain why this case is a criminal case. In this case, Jake and his mates decide to set fire to an abandoned factory. One night they ride their bikes to the factory, climb in through a broken window, pour petrol onto a pile of old papers and light a fire. The flames quickly engulf the factory and Jake and his mates ride away as fast as they can. However, they are stopped by the police who charge them with arson. At Jake's trial in the county court, the prosecution persuades the jury beyond reasonable doubt that Jake is guilty of arson. The judge sentences Jake to 3 years imprisonment. Now I'd like you to stop this video and see if you can identify all of the language in this case scenario that suggests that this is a criminal case. Alright, Hopefully now you've had a go at identifying the language in this case scenario that suggests that the case is a criminal case. Let's look at this language. First of all, let's look at the vocabulary that is being used. In this case, we have the police who charge Jake with arson. The police are only involved in a criminal case, and an accused is charged in a criminal case. That is, charges are laid against them. Here is a reference to the prosecution. We know that the prosecution is a party to a criminal case. Of course, in this case, the accused is Jake. And here is a reference to the standard of proof. The prosecution persuades the jury beyond reasonable doubt that Jake is guilty of arson. Beyond reasonable doubt is the standard of proof that applies in a criminal case. Here's the word guilty. An accused in a criminal case is either guilty or not guilty. Again, this is language which shows that this is a criminal case. And finally, we have a reference to the judge sentencing Jake to 3 years imprisonment. Sentencing is only relevant to a criminal case. Well, that's some of the vocabulary. Now let's look at the cause of action. That is, let's look at the case that is being brought against Jake. In this case, Jake has been charged with arson, and in fact he's found guilty of arson. Arson is a criminal offence, again suggesting that this is a criminal case. And finally, what is the consequence of the case for Jake? In this case, because Jake has been found guilty, the judge punishes Jake by sentencing him to imprisonment. Again, imprisonment is a criminal punishment or a criminal sanction. In summary, you can see that by looking at the vocabulary that is used, police, charge, prosecution, beyond reasonable doubt, guilty, sentence. By looking at the cause of action, that is, by looking at the case that is being brought against Jake, this is for arson, and by looking at the consequences of the case for Jake, in this case imprisonment, we can conclude that this is a criminal case.
That now brings us to the end of this short video. As a result of watching and taking notes on this video, you should now be able to explain why a case is a criminal case. Thank you for your attention.